I don't think it is possible to describe Albie in one sentence because there's so many parts to him. There's Albie, the constitutional court judge, now retired. There's Albie, the father, the lover, the friend. There's Albie, the comrade. And there's Albie, the artist and person who's interested in art. But perhaps if I can think back to a description that someone had given of him when he was a little boy at school, the teacher said to Albie's mom that Albie is a dreamy boy. And in some ways, I think Albie is still a dreamy boy, 75 years later.
Looking back, totting up all the different things that happened, it's kind of too much to be raided before dawn and then to be banned, placed under restriction orders and then locked up in solitary confinement for 90 days and then another 78 days. And then 2 years later to be locked up again and tortured by sleep deprivation, then to go into exile for a couple of decades, in the middle of that to be blown up and lose an arm, the sight of an eye, to be stateless for 7 years, all in the life of one person, and yet thousands of South Africans can tell similar stories. My story starts here in Clifton, and it seems to be, for the time being at any rate, ending here in Clifton. Amongst my very earliest memories of my mom separated from my dad, Albie Sachs, quite a famous trade union leader, but his daddy, far away. And she's saying, tidy up, Uncle Moses is coming. And Uncle Moses was Moses Kotane, her boss. She was the typist for Moses Kotane. He was on the National Executive of the ANC and General Secretary of the Communist Party of South Africa. And I grew up in a world like that. I didn't stand a chance.
At just 17, as a second-year law student, Albie Sachs began his lifelong fight for the dignity, equality, and freedom of all South Africans. As a young lawyer, he defended those charged under repressive security laws and racist statutes. Many of those he defended faced the death penalty. His resistance to an increasingly brutal system resulted in his detainment in solitary confinement and torture by sleep deprivation. In 1966, he went into exile. First to England, and then to Mozambique, where he worked closely with Oliver Tambo on the Code of Conduct and statutes for the ANC.
We are concerned with the rights of all South Africans. We don't want anybody to be harassed or humiliated or suppressed on grounds of race, color, or creed. I was blown up in 1988. I don't like looking at this picture.
The doctor who saved his life informed him that he had lost his right arm and the sight of one of his eyes, and that he must face the future with courage.
And when I came to write about my vision of what our new South Africa would be when I was lying in hospital after I'd lost my arm, and somebody wrote to me and said, "Don't worry, Comrade Albie, we'll avenge you." And I thought, are we going to chop off the arms and blind people in eyes? What sort of country is that? If we get democracy, if we get freedom, roses and lilies will grow out of my arm, and that will be my soft vengeance.
While recovering in England, he began preparations for South Africa's first democratic constitution, a document that is widely regarded as the most progressive in the world.
Getting well was the distraction from being damaged. So I concentrated very much on that, on the exercises and learning to write with my left. But the emotional and mental thing, the huge thing, was working on the Constitution. And then I was deputed to work with Kader Asmal on a draft Bill of Rights. And I flew to Dublin and I worked on Kader's kitchen table, Kader and Louise's kitchen table, and had this blank piece of paper and a pen, and I just had to start. I didn't have any documents, I didn't want anything. I felt a Bill of Rights must speak from the heart, from deep, from inside, from all the emotion that a human being who's been involved in the struggle for democracy can have. Write down the fundamental rights as they should be, and then afterwards check with the international instruments and so on. And I can see with my little eye a direct connection between that and the final text of the Constitution. I just learned to write with my left. I was still quite weak, but it's very invigorating to feel what an historic moment.
After 24 years in exile, Albie Sachs returned home to his mother and his motherland to play an active role in the negotiations that led to a free South Africa. After the first democratic elections of 1994, he was appointed by then-President Nelson Mandela to serve on the newly established Constitutional Court. Judge Sachs was instrumental in the creation of the post-apartheid Constitution of 1996. As one of 11 green-robed judges, he participated in many landmark rulings, including the abolition of the death penalty and the legalization of single-sex marriage. In 2002, the court ruled that the government had a duty to provide HIV-positive pregnant women with drugs to reduce the risk of mother-to-child transmission.
It's the Constitution emerging from our history, speaking our language with our voice, our personality, our problems, our hopes, our concerns for never again shall these things happen. And now I think provides a huge measure of human warmth and social dignity in South Africa.
In his chambers one day, he received a visitor. It was the former security agent that had placed a bomb in his car.
I'm now a judge on the Constitutional Court, and I get a message that Henry is waiting to see me. Open the door and I see this man looking at me as if to say, this is the man I tried to kill, and I'm looking at him, so this is the man who tried to kill me. We didn't fight, we didn't have disagreements over anything. He was on that side, I was on this side. Now we can talk. And eventually, after lots and lots and lots of talking, I stand up and I say, Henry, I can't shake your hand, but go to the Truth Commission, who knows one day. And I forgot about him. And 9 months later, I'm at a party, loud music playing, end of year. I'm very tired, and a voice says, Albie. And I look, my God, it's Henry, and he's beaming when he comes up to me, and he said, I spoke to Bobby and Sue and Farouk, people who were in exile with me, and I told them everything I knew, and you said that. And I said, Henry, I've only got your face to tell me that what you're saying is the truth. I put out my hand and I shook his hand. He went away floating. I almost fainted. He went home. One of the organizers didn't know what had happened, and Henry cried for 2 weeks. And that moved me very deeply, because we are humanizing each other. We're starting to live in the same country. And if that's not enough, LLL, late life love.
Albie's absolutely met his match in our home environment with Oliver. He finds it, as a 75-year-old, very challenging sometimes dealing with a 3.5-year-old. Hey, Ollie? So his reconciliation skills that he had externally might be, at the moment, a little bit challenged.
We achieved the basic goal. We used to say freedom in our lifetime. People thought you were mad. And sometimes with almost pity in their eyes, shame, this poor idealistic guy, get real. Fortunately, we didn't get real. Some people see a tension, a contradiction between justice and reconciliation. To me, they stem from the same thing. It's human dignity that's at the heart of everything. Justice in a deeper, more poetic and real profound sense. Justice that can't be pushed back so easily. Justice that lodges deep in people's hearts and consciousness is associated with acknowledgement of the dignity of others. Ubuntu, we call it in South Africa. To my mind, the two go very, very closely together. Reconciliation means seeing and understanding the other, seeing that your destiny, your personality, your potential, your possibilities are closely intertwined with those of other people.
The Institute honors Judge Albie Sachs for realizing reconciliation through his life and work.